Hey, welcome everyone. We are here with the owner of Crying in My Cheesecake, Danielle Hofer, and we are pumped. I'm really excited about today's interview. Danielle is one of the people that I call the OGs. She was one of the people that became a nutrition coach when we kind of launched Macro Millionaire. She had been a client and just has an incredible story. So I have to ask, and I ask you this every time. Danielle, what is the story behind Crying in My Cheesecake? Both the name and how did this thing like turn into what it is today?
Okay, so Crying in My Cheesecake happened as a mom with a military. My husband was active duty in the military, and I was home with two little ones. My second baby was nursing nonstop, and I was so tired. I was probably on my second pot of coffee, and I was trying to make lunch for my oldest and myself. And for some reason, there was a takeout Chinese tray sitting in the middle of the floor. I stepped on that, threw my coffee across the room, and somehow the tops of my legs skidded across the floor, and I sat down and cried and said to my son came over, he was little, and he said, "What's wrong, mommy?" And I said, "I just want to cry in my cheesecake." And so that terminology or that verbiage just like stuck because I don't want to be there. I don't want to cry in my cheesecake anymore. I want to live life abundantly, and I want to not live on the sidelines of life, but live an active part of life. And so it started with blogging, spiritual direction type or spiritual mentorship and that kind of thing, and just kind of transposed into a lifestyle thing of nutrition and holistic wellness.
Yeah, and I love how your like etiology or the foundation of your business is holistic because it was more around the counseling. And one thing that I see resonate with your coaching is you take a really inside out approach.
Yeah.
Like we're in such a superficial society nowadays where everyone's looking at the outside and we put our smiling masks on, but then behind closed doors, we're slipping on Chinese food. And, so what kind of motivated you to say, you know what, I want to help other moms or other women or men too who were kind of in this place? And what kind of spawned that into nutrition counseling?
So first of all, I needed to take an inside look. So I feel like, and I say and believe that our insides are shown or reflected on our outsides.
Mhm.
So, if we are in a bad place, maybe like we're going to feel a certain way or look a certain way or approach our life that certain way. But it really triggered me when my dad was at the hospital and I was sitting there with my nursing a baby there for 10 hours while my dad was on a bypass machine and ended up having a quintuple bypass. And you know what's interesting is I thought that was just routine surgery. And
Ah.
I just wasn't worried. I wasn't concerned. And it wasn't because it was a spiritual thing of just like trusting God. No, it was, oh, this is just the next thing on the list.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't until after I got home and, after seeing my dad wake up from that ventilator and that kind of thing, I don't want my husband, my kids, or the people that love me to wait for me to wake up from a quintuple bypass with a ventilator. And so it really woke me up to changing my insides to reflect a healthier outside. But it also, when I found that freedom, I couldn't help but be compelled to help others find that as well. And realize that there is a way that we may be genetically predisposed to things, but we get the final say. We don't have to be that statistic.
Yeah, that is one thing that I always get from you. And when we talked earlier in our relationship, is you don't want to be a statistic. It's the victim versus the victor mentality. And yeah, I love that. You're right. Some of us do have the deck stacked against us, and from a genetic standpoint, but that doesn't necessarily carve the path of our direction.
Right, right.
Yeah. So would you say that was kind of the catalyst, is your own story was a catalyst and being like, I can't just keep this to myself. I as busy as you are, and my gosh, nobody is more busy than you are, but you still make the time to say, I want to get this out to clients. That's just amazing.
Yes, absolutely. That there's nothing worth more than sharing the knowledge and changing lives.
Yeah.
One of my life mottos is I want to bring as many people home with me as I can.
Ah, wow. I love that. And, we were just talking offline that really in your heart, you're an educator.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like a, here's your meal plan, do this, I bark orders, you're a lamb and you follow. You're more about like, if I'm that lamb right now, you're about turning me into the shepherd of my own.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how does it, if you could speak a little bit, how does your nutrition program, do you feel like, kind of differ in that respect from the educational aspect?
Okay, so my nutrition coaching is mostly one-to-one, and I prefer that just in-depth, private kind of thing. I do offer some, group sessions and
Yeah.
things, but we take a look at lifestyle. It is about the food, right? It's about the consumption of the food, but what is really drawing us to that food, and why are we accepting that my specialty is obesity and obesity-related diseases? So, what is driving us to that food, and why do we think it's okay? Well, it's probably some kind of learned behavior or coping mechanism or whatever. So in my one-to-one sessions, we get very personal and we talk about things like stress, and that could be relational, marriage, work, kids. That could be, even just an addiction that you may have that I can maybe support and point you into different areas of help. And we talk about sleep. We can't be healthy if we're not getting adequate amounts of sleep.
Right.
We talk about our sex life. We talk about our libido. We talk about if you're a female, we talk about your menstrual cycle and how we can approach or encourage supporting of that.
Sure.
And we talk about everything. We become a friendship type relationship that bridges the gap from your best friend, getting advice from your best friend, bridging that gap to maybe pointing you into some like actual scientific responses and well-rounded continuing education type pieces. And so then I teach you how to navigate your life amidst that.
Yeah, wow. And that is the bottom line truth. Look, we all know, eat green vegetables, lean proteins, or if you're vegan, tofu or whatnot. We all know. Grandma told us, eat your greens. We already know how to eat well, but it's having that person that can look at a holistic standpoint. Like, we're all living our lives right here at, 8 feet or 6 feet, or I'm 5'8", 5 feet. Where you as a coach, it seems like you're like looking and being like, yeah, okay, I can see the big picture of the client, and then help them see things that they can't even see because they're just flying too low.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So who would you say, like, what type of client do you feel you can help the most? I know that you have a wide array of people that you're helping, that hire you. I know people are reaching out to you, but is there a certain type of person that you feel called to coach?
Well, first of all, I like that, the terminology called to help. Yes, I can help everybody. But my passion lies in the people that no longer can climb stairs without being out of breath, or that they avoid the stairs because they don't want to be seen that they're so out of shape. It doesn't matter what age you are, age 18 to 90. Most of my clients are older, of the older postmenopausal, retirement age. And I love them. But I also have women and men across all the generations for the same reason. And it really lights a fire under my tail when I can teach them how to eat that donut in harmony, but also promoting positive changes so they can. So I have a client that she's one of my favorites, and she's able to bike. She is 60 years old and hasn't been able to bike. She goes on walks for her lunch because why? She can. And
Right.
she climbs stairs at work instead of taking the elevator. Why? Because she can.
Right.
And it's so exciting to see people getting their life back. I have another client that all she wants to do is be able to hang out with her grandkids and chase her grandkids. And it's so encouraging to see, and that edification that she gets from herself of that, like the more we do it, the more evidence we have that things are working or things are going right. She can chase her grandson out in the heat. She can take walks still that day and not need a nap. So the type of person that I love working with and feel called to work with is the person that wants their life back.
Wow.
Doesn't want to go through just doesn't want to keep going through life like, is this all there is? And help them find that there's so much more out there.
Wow, that is awesome. So if I'm watching this right now and I'm like, the emoji, that's me. If my hand is up right now, how can I connect with you, Danielle?
Yeah, you can email me at hello@cryingmycheesecake.com. You can check out my website at cryingmycheesecake.com. And you can find me on Facebook or Instagram as well at those two handles. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and your energy. I know that this interview is going to change somebody's life because it's going to lead them to you and Crying in My Cheesecake. So thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.